What are your questions?
Huh? No, so my biggest are you familiar with Fidelity? I'm sure you are. What, did you guys talk
So
about
you
Fidelity?
clearly weren't.
What?
Can you please keep that in?
Okay.
I know that you know this
Listen.
cup means
Yeah,
cut
yeah,
off.
listen.
Keep that in because
So
she not
this
only
is-
mentioned Fidelity, she had to like say like a million times that she was not affiliated because she mentioned it so much.
Oh, okay. And welcome back to the Riley Black Project. Crystal and John.
Hey.
How you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Early wake-up call this morning here at the house.
Yeah,
5 a.m.
I had a little nap. I couldn't
Yeah,
fall asleep
so
until after 3 and
Stay
woke
tuned
up at 5.
to the life update because our youngest is home. So I'll be ducking in and out throughout this episode, which you love.
I love it so much.
Yeah. So today's episode is brought to you by
Katie with Monarch Pine. So if you're looking for jewelry blanks or findings, check out her website, monarchpine.com. Someday I'll not want to say Etsy.
Someday.
But,
Not today.
And what is this?
I don't, because the show started. That's what it is.
I feel like,
hit
what's her
record.
name from K-pop Demon Hunters? Losing her voice.
Yeah.
My patterns are starting to, the demon is taking over. Her code, Riley Black, for 10% off. If you're a patron, you get a higher discount, though.
That's right. And if you want to know what that higher discount is and you're a patron, be sure to join the patron-only Facebook group, TRBP Hangout. It's where we do our monthly After Dark, which is coming up. Well, by the time that this aired, it just came out. But if you're a patron, it is coming up.
It'll be the same day.
Same day, yeah. Oh,
Is it Friday? Shit.
Yeah, it is Friday. Yeah, right after.
Oh man, we're killing it here. We're doing great.
Whatchamacallit? Print United.
Printing United, yeah.
Printing United. Yeah. Anyway, so be sure TRBP Hangout is the Facebook group for our patrons. Our Gen Pop is the Riley Black Project Community Facebook group. We do our quarterly After Dark there. And we post, the episodes so you see who's on all that stuff.
Update on the list. I've been doing good and staying on top of that list.
Yeah.
And we have a helper now, Desiree.
Yep.
So
Shout out to
again,
Desiree
for helping.
Shout out to Crazy Laser Dad, Eon USA. More from them on their ads coming up. I think that's all the red tape as it were. Today's guest is these facts are fun.
There.
These fun. So today's guest is got started in learning about investing while I want to get this right, an aerial acrobat on a cruise ship.
That's a unique job.
Which is very unique because one misstep and she's swimming. I feel like it's at least that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if it was outside or inside.
Right, and like she is a thrill seeker.
Yeah.
Because bought her first investment property in Tampa after Googling where's the best place for investment. So, and then the third one,
some tea. It sounds like on her first financial advisor. So I want to hear that.
Yes, that's right.
One.
It was a friend, and it didn't quite turn out. You know why? Because it wasn't Jess.
Right. Well, Jess isn't a financial advisor.
True. Welcome to the show, Tess. I was gonna say with, but there's too many W's. So Tess from Wealth with Tess.
There you go.
Yeah, I was gonna say I started saying it in
with
the pre-show. With. I'm like I'm gonna screw that up. So I'm gonna say from. Yeah. Welcome to the show, Tess. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. That was quite an introduction. I love it.
Your fun facts were fun.
They were good.
Yeah, they were good.
Right. Sometimes it's like, oh, I like purple, and I'm like, cool, guys, thanks.
Well, listen. It's hard to beat an acrobat on a cruise ship.
Right.
Buying property after Googling where is the best place to buy property, and then also you get some tea. Yeah. And the first financial advisor was a friend, and it didn't quite work out.
Well, I like too that we actually met her. Is it almost 3 years ago now? 2 or 3 years ago.
2.5, I think.
Yeah, 2.5 at Podfest.
Right.
It was our first podcast conference, and I sat at a table with her and her friend. Is it Rachel?
Rachel, yep.
Rachel, and we had Rachel on last year. I believe. Yeah. And I was like wanting, as per usual, wanting to hide in a corner. And then they started talking to me and they were nice. So I started talking back. Yeah. So tell us about your background. First, tell us about this aerial acrobat biz. That's crazy.
Sure. So when I graduated from university, I had been a springboard diver my whole life. And that was how I was able to afford college, because my mother was like, we're not paying for this, so you better find a way. So very grateful to get an athletic scholarship for that. And then I graduated in 2008, which most of our listeners over 35 are going to remember that was probably not the best time to look for a job. So in the middle of the financial crisis, I was looking for any job in finance or marketing I could find. And then after getting rejected like 40 times, my old diving coach was like, hey, they're looking for springboard divers on a cruise ship for a show. And I was like a brat back then. So I was like, no, thanks. I have a degree now. Like, I'm going to get a real job.
Yeah.
Like, fast forward like 2 weeks later, I was like, hey,
So
turns out I can't find a job on land. So I will take to the tape. So I did that for almost 3 years. It was a outdoor show on the back. It was the largest cruise ship in the world. So it takes like 10 minutes to walk down the ship. It was massive.
Wow.
And I worked on that ship for 3 years. I met all kinds of, it was awesome. I met so many great people. Weirdly enough, it was a good financial decision too, because you work on the ship, so they pay for your food, your housing.
I was going to ask about that, because they pay, from what I've seen on like TV and stuff, they pay pretty well. You don't really have to pay, like, you don't have to have like a place to stay for the most part, because you're mostly there.
But you're always at work.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, exactly. So you can either spend a lot of money at the bars on the islands that we visit, which, don't get me wrong, I definitely did that.
Right.
But I also started to be like, okay, this feels like an opportunity to save money in a way that I might not have in the future.
Right.
What should I do with that? And that's when I met another friend that worked on the ship that was really into investing. And I didn't know anything about investing, but that's how I kind of got my first exposure to it as an adult. And then I proceeded to make every investing mistake out there, which I'm happy to share with all your listeners so they can avoid all of those.
Please do.
But that's really weirdly where I got started. So this guy I worked with was like, here's a book on investing. And it's not actually a good book, so I'm not going to recommend it. But it did like open my eyes to the idea of consistently taking some of your money, setting it aside, and making sure that it's growing for the future in case something happens, or just to eventually reach some kind of financial freedom.
Yeah. So was that the same friend that you ended up having like a falling out with, or what's the tea on that one?
No. So what happened was I ended up, I was a good doobie. I stopped buying all the drinks in the bar and I started saving my money. And I looked into stock market investing, but it just seemed so overwhelming to me and so complicated, so much jargon, that I thought, I'm going to find someone to do this for me. So I had this friend. She was a woman that went to my high school. She was a few years older than me. So I sort of looked up to her, and she had reached out to me before to ask me if I needed help. And so then I thought, okay, I have some money. I'm going to give it to somebody else to like manage for me. And then fast forward, maybe like 5 years later, I was sitting at a restaurant with my mother. I think it was like a Chili's or Applebee's, like lots of kids screaming, running around.
Right.
But it was like one of those moments where, in the movies where everything kind of like fades out and you're just very fixated on this person. And I was profoundly impacted by the story she was telling me about what it felt like to suddenly be a single mom of 2 babies under 3, to not be financially secure, to be worried about paying for the mortgage and food. And then she kind of ended this story with, and that's why I hired a dating service to meet your stepdad. And I remember just being like, oh, I don't like that. Not that my stepdad, rest in peace, passed away. He was a great guy. Not because he was a bad guy, but I just remember thinking, I never want to feel like I have to go find someone in case something happens. And it sat with me, and I was so uncomfortable that night I went home and I was like, what's happening with my money? What is this woman doing? Like I pulled a book off my ex-boyfriend's bookcase about investing and I just started reading and I was very concerned. And so what I learned from that book and so many others was that I was paying this person that I had entrusted my money to tens of thousands of dollars in fees. And then if I kept working with them, I would end up paying them well over 6 figures in fees by the time I retired.
Right.
I also found out that they sold me a financial product that really wasn't suited for my age, that they got a pretty sizable commission on. And then I also found out that the investments that they chose for me inside the accounts that I gave them access to, also they got commission on. So, in summary, this person isn't a bad person, but the industry itself has created a structure of business where values are misaligned and there's just constant conflicts of interest.
Well, and a definite like mistrust or like, not one, it's overwhelming, right? So, I mean, I have a bachelor's degree in finance, but all it taught me was that I didn't want to do it. And I struggled a lot in like my like stocks and investing classes just because of all of the like terms. And as soon as I'd understand something, it was like the opposite and I had it backwards. And then, you've heard all these stories about like someone having access to your account and kind of investing for their best interest and not necessarily yours. And so then a lot of times it's just easier to be like, I'm not even going to do it, which is kind of where we're at right now. Like we've tried like a little bit and then it just doesn't really like, pan out. And then we just like shelve it like for later.
Yeah.
So
the Riley Black Project is sponsored by Monarch Pine.
Monarch Pine is your trusted source for premium laser blanks and jewelry findings. From large loop earring hooks made specifically for acrylic and wood earrings to laser-tested stainless steel necklace and bracelet blanks, they have everything you need to bring your creative ideas to life.
As a maker, you know the value of quality supplies. And that's exactly what Monarch Pine delivers. Whether you're crafting as a hobby or running a full-time business, their products make it easy to design confidently and create stunning pieces.
Head to monarchpine.com and use code RileyBlack to get 10% off your order. Riley Black patrons get an even bigger discount, so don't miss out.
While you're at it, join the Monarch Pine Craft Supply Insiders Facebook group. It's a vibrant community where makers share tips, inspiration, and their incredible creations.
Monarch Pine, where your creativity takes center stage. Visit monarchpine.com and use code RileyBlack today.
Not tomorrow. Today. Attention all laser owners and crafters. Are you tired of spending hours cutting, painting, and assembling laser products? Look no further than the Crazy Laser Dad's Laser Ready Blanks.
Their high-quality blanks are expertly sourced and tested and ready to use on your laser. Say goodbye to the hassle and frustration of time-consuming projects and hello to more time creating and selling.
Plus, with their wide selection of items, you'll surely find the perfect blank for your customers.
Visit crazylaserdad.com today and take your laser crafting to the next level with their laser ready blanks.
Yeah, I mean that is really common, right? And it's tough because you're like, I know this is a thing I need to be doing.
Right.
But I don't totally trust the industry and the people in that industry, and for good reason. So what do I do? And so that's actually the exact position that I was in at the time, because I thought I had done this responsible thing and outsourced, that's what you're told to do, outsource to someone smarter.
Right.
But what I realized after reading through these books and spending some time and finding the right resources is that it can be so much simpler than we think. It's just that it's constantly overcomplicated, one, to intentionally confuse us,
right.
But also to ensure that we are reliant on other people. And so after this experience, I ended up setting up a super simple investment strategy on my own, which I'm happy to share. It's helped me build considerable wealth over the last 13, 14 years. And it really taught me that there are some things where more is not less. And when it comes to investing in the stock market, especially if you're new, and me even just saying that gives you anxiety, one of the best things I can tell you is that it is so much simpler than you think. And the simple automated strategies that you can learn can be so incredibly powerful to help you reach financial independence. But it's hard to believe that because you're like, surely this thing has to be complicated, and it just doesn't. So that's why I started this whole business, and I feel morally obligated to share this with people because I love the best joy I get is all the students in my beginner investing program. A lot of times at the end they'll be like, "Oh, that's the whole thing. Like that's it. That's a lot easier than I thought it was going to be." And that's the joy, right? And obviously there's so many different ways to do it, but the specific strategies that I like and that so many people that are smart and savvy and don't want to waste their time on crazy analysis or chasing stock market trends, like those strategies are actually really simple. And so that's the message that I'm so excited to share, because it doesn't matter if you're totally new, short on time, you have $10 to start, you can totally do it too. You just need the right resources and info.
That's what I was gonna say, because you said like if you mentioned stocks, if it freaks you out, you mentioned stocks, and I'm like, well, we don't have enough money to invest, because it feels like from an outsider that you need a substantial amount to quote play with. And it feels a lot like, for me personally, and maybe for a few of our listeners too, it feels like a gamble. You know, as opposed to like in our industry, a laser, you know, it is a substantial amount of money, but you work it, you learn the software, and it makes you money. It's physical, you know what I'm saying? Where this kind of feels almost fictitious, but a lot of people, you do know that a lot of people do make a lot of money with it, but it just feels like out of reach because we don't have enough. So is that like, I guess you say you could do it with like, you could start with $10. How true is that?
You could start with $1 technically. And so I'm happy to back up and explain a little bit how you can make this simple, if that would be helpful for you guys and the listeners. So the first thing before you start investing in the stock market is to understand what that actually means. Like when people say the stock market, like what the hell are we talking about? So most of the time when people say that, what they're talking about usually is the US stock market and the largest companies in the US stock market. So there is a list of stocks, the top 500 stocks. And just to make sure we're on the same page, stock is a piece of ownership in a publicly traded company, right? So think Amazon, Google, Meta, those are all companies that you can buy a portion of and hold that portion with the goal of that value of that share increasing over time. That's the simple explanation of investing. And so the top 500 companies in the United States are often what's referred to as the stock market. So have you guys ever heard on the news, people are like, the S&P is up, and you're like, who's S and who's
I'm
B?
like, that's
what does
great.
this mean?
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Great. Thank you. I don't know what that means. So the S&P 500 is just a list of the top 500 US publicly traded companies. So companies you all know, Microsoft, Meta, Nvidia, the companies that I just mentioned, right?
Yeah.
And so when people say the stock market, that's usually what they're referring to is that group of stocks. And so what most people think when they think about investing is that I have to go out and I have to figure out like which stocks are going to be the winners and buy them at the right time. And I have to have a lot of money to do that, because what if something happens and then this feels like a gamble?
Right. Wolf of Wall Street.
Exactly. Yes. Wolf of Wall Street. The movie Dumb Money, which is about GameStop, is really interesting if people want to learn more about this psychology. So I hardly do any of that. Most of the way that I invest in the stock market is by investing in hundreds or even thousands of stocks at one time and then holding those over a long period of time. Because the stocks in the US stock market that are publicly traded, they're publicly traded for a reason, because they're doing well and they wanted more investment and they're continuing to grow. So you can right now, if we went to like fidelity.com and opened up an investing account. Fidelity is just a brokerage, a place to buy and sell investments, right? So we went to Fidelity, we opened up an account. You could transfer your $10 and buy $10 worth of the S&P 500, those top 500 stocks. And those 500 stocks are in all kinds of different industries. They're in AI largely now, consumer goods, energy, all these different things. And so what you're doing is you're doing a process called diversification, where instead of like picking the one stock, you are buying
Like a
Five,
bundle.
exactly, a bundle, the variety pack
Yeah.
of investing. And that is so much less risky than going to try to pick an individual stock.
Right.
The other cool thing about investing in something like that is over time, that group of stocks has returned roughly 10% on average. Not every year, but
Right.
over time. So when we know that it's hard to pick individual stocks, and we know it's really hard to time the stock market because of the world and
Right.
life and
Yeah.
everything. And there's a different conversation, but because of all the
Right.
things happening in the world right now, the stock market is like, oh my God, what's happening over there and what's happening over there. But over time, it has only gone in one direction, which is up.
Right.
And so understanding that the stock market is cyclical, it goes up and down, but it has gone up in one direction historically for the last 100+ years, even through the worst of times, 1929, 2008.
Right.
And knowing that instead of having to time the market and buy a bunch of different stocks, you can actually just buy the variety pack of them. All of a sudden, it starts to be a little bit more accessible. And so what I love to teach people how to do is a little bit more in-depth explanation of what I just gave you, but also how to set up systems so that you're just automatically sending money into these accounts over time. Oh, we have a visitor.
He has his Riley Black
Hi.
Project shirt on. Show him your shirt.
Show your shirt.
Show your shirt.
No,
Oh, now
okay.
we're shy. So a lot of our listeners obviously are like small business owners. We're wearing a million hats. We're the photographer, the bookkeeper, the marketer, all of the things. How do you add in the investing? Like, again, especially too, like us, we're two self-employed incomes in the household. Like sometimes it feels like we don't have the funds for that all the time or, consistently. Like, is your recommendation doing things like starting with that $10 and at the very least doing $10 a month until you can like gradually do more kind of thing? Or like,
Yeah, it's a great question. So there's always two, before we even get into the investing conversation, there's always two things that I like to talk about first that are required to make this a successful endeavor. And the first is, why are you doing this in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
Like really leaning into like, why are you investing? Is it because you want to be able to help your kids out in the future? Is it because you want to retire someday? Is it because you want to have flexibility? When you like tap into what's really important for you, all of a sudden it becomes a different priority, right? So that's like that's important to be like, if I just say like, hey, you should invest so you have more money, that's less interesting than
Right.
hey, you should invest because in 20 years, if you keep doing this, you're going to have the flexibility to spend more time with your grandkids or pivot your business or retire and chill out, like, whatever it is. So understanding why it mattered, because otherwise it's very hard to motivate yourself to do this.
You need your why, right?
Yeah, you need your why, number one. And number two is understanding your cash flow. As a business owner, obviously it varies tremendously from month to month. So it's not as easy as the regular W-2 employee to say, oh, I'm just going to transfer like 100 or 200 or 500
from your check, because there's no regular check necessarily.
Exactly. But what I suggest people do is create a system, and it does not have to be complicated or time consuming, but it does require that you review, which you should be doing anyway as a business owner. You should look at what came in and what went out that month at the very least, right? Your profit and loss. And then if you can start to create a rule for yourself based on what I'm making and based on my goals and my why, and the fact that maybe I'm new to business and I'm a little bit nervous about cash flow, fine. Start with 5% of your profit from that month and do that first before you do anything else in your life, before you spend more money and reinvest back into your business. Because here's the other thing too, that I think is important for business owners. When you start to do this, you're really rewiring your brain for like wealth building and smart decisions. And so the more you can start to control your money flow, you're going to be a better business owner too, because you're going to start to have this cushion that's going to make you feel more confident in the decisions that you're making. So it has to be first. It has to be pay yourself first. Now, if you have debt like credit card debt, that's something you want to take care of, mostly before you start investing, because if you have that high interest rate, it's going to hemorrhage any benefit you get from investing.
Right.
But even then, I would suggest a small amount per month, even if it's 5%. And even some months, if it's really just $10, building that habit is so valuable.
Something, better than nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. Because what's going to happen is at some point, you're going to be making a lot more.
Right.
And then instead of being at that point, like, oh shit, like, what do I
right
do
now I have more money, but where do I put it? How much do I do? Yeah.
Yeah. You already know, you're like ready to go. You're like, cool, let's just dial up the volume.
Right.
And then the other thing we haven't talked about, which we can get into, is as a business owner, this can be a massive tax write-off for you too. And we can talk about the tax savings there as well.
Hey guys, how great would it feel if this was the year you finally got to escape the 9-to-5 and embrace a lifestyle of creativity and entrepreneurship?
Every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, Eon Laser USA invites you to join the Above and Beyond webinar, where you'll learn how you can make this a reality.
Join leading laser industry professional and brand ambassador Emily, aka That Mom with a Laser, and Eon Laser USA's sales manager Alicia as they dive into all things Eon.
Learn about the advantages of owning an Eon Laser and get the scoop on Eon's rewards and partner benefits. Plus, get a glimpse at how everyday people who started out with zero experience paid off their lasers, scaled their businesses, and transformed their lifestyles.
So if you're ready for a lifestyle change, head on over to eonlaser.us/whyus and sign up for the Above and Beyond webinar today.
Thanks for listening. Laser on.
Bye.
Are you tired of endlessly joining jump rings?
There's gotta be an easier way.
Are your wrists aching after numerous orders? Introducing Keychain Thingies, the time-saving solution for anyone making keychains.
It's so fast and easy.
These revolutionary plastic thingies make large or multiple orders a snap. So easy, even a child can do it.
That was so easy.
So what are you waiting for? Go to keychainthingies.com and order now. Keychain Thingies will change your life. However, they should not be used to cure any medical ailments, repair broken relationships, or help lose weight. Do not use Keychain Thingies unless you want to save time and aggravation.
Yeah. Well, and it just reminds me, I don't know how long ago it was for you, but you had an injury where you actually needed to step away some. And, again, as a self-employed, business owner, you need to have those kind of safety nets to help you if something like that happens that's unplanned. So how did this path help you in that situation?
Yeah, that's so interesting that you brought that up, because I was just thinking about that over the last year. That was only last year, where I had a fully ruptured Achilles. Super gross. 10 out of 10 do not recommend. And when that happened, even with health insurance, having to take time off my business. I have contractors, but I'm pretty much a solopreneur. Like, as a financial educator, I love to work with people. I am honestly not trying to build the biggest business ever. I want a small, impactful business, and I love working with people, and that's what I do. But it did, like, I had to cut back on the amount of people that I could help. I didn't run my group investing program because I was on a massive amount of painkillers, and it probably would have been a great experience for everyone. And not to mention that between the surgery, which immediately maxed out my out of pocket, the amount of like physical therapy I needed, this was easily like $20,000 that year.
It adds up so quick.
So
like if you need it like twice a week or something every week, or even once a week, depending on your deductible, it's anywhere from $50 to $100 each time. And then you're like, oh, great, I'm spending $400 or twice that a month, just on getting better.
Yeah. And I'm missing 4 hours out of my week that I could be working on my business.
Right.
And I, to go back to my why is so freaking clear to me. And it's that I want to have options in case things go sideways.
Right.
Like that like they did for my mother. So for me, when that happened, I was like, I just kept saying, I am so grateful that I am in this position now, because 10 years prior to that, I would not have been. It would have been a different, much more stressful situation.
Right.
So there's been things like that. Same thing when my stepdad was in hospice for 4 months. Like, I was able to pull back and be there and hang out with him and have, some of like the best / weirdest conversations. He had like brain cancer. So we had like crazy conversations, and they were fun and weird and sad and interesting. And it was like, man, like,
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I get to be present for this.
Right. That's what I was just going to say. You got to be present for those times. I mean, the thing that my favorite part about this business is being able to, like, in a few weeks, I'm going to go see my father because he called me to tell me happy birthday 2 days after my sister's birthday, not my birthday. So I was like, okay, I need to go, go visit.
Yeah.
And, because you just never know, right? There's so much around me where people are either, losing people or going through cancer, stage 4 cancer and all of that. And having the flexibility to be able to, thankfully we found like cheap tickets and I'm staying with a friend and using a friend's car. And so the expense isn't great, but like being able to step away from my business for, a week and, my husband take over some pieces of it, that has been the most beneficial and my why is being present, for my kids and for my family and stuff when I need to and not have to be like, hey, can I have a week off, a month from now?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is it's funny because some of the pushback I get, especially as business owners, they'll be like, well, I want to reinvest back into my business. So I don't want to take money aside or, YOLO and I want to live my life and you only live once. And it's like, but if you are strategic in the sense of putting aside some of your income to develop a truly passive income stream, by the way, like once you set this up, this whole thing is super passive. It's actually one of the only like, everyone talks about passive income, which is like not a real thing.
Right.
But like with stock market investing, where you're just saying, F it, I'm going to invest in all the stocks, get the average return of the stock market and do it consistently. And I'm not going to worry about the timing of the market. An average 10% return on your money adds up fast. Mm-hmm. And people that have done this, within a few years' time, all of a sudden they have $100,000 that they didn't really like, that didn't impact their life negatively. Yeah. And now you want to talk about YOLO? You can if you need to, right?
Right. Like, now you have YOLO money.
Like that's the whole point. Like enjoy your life. And I'm not ever going to sit here and be like, stop buying lattes. Like that's not helpful.
Right.
But I do think that that's why I think the why is so important, because it's so easy to be like, YOLO, you only live once. I'm going to spend this money right now. But the value of the experiences that you and I just passed, like what crap are we buying that's more valuable than that? It's just not.
That's what I was just going to say. How many times do you buy that thing on Amazon or, whatever that's like $10 to $50, if not at least once a month, a few times once a month. And that maybe if that means at least initially just to start that habit that you just do one less of those. And, I used to have, which I don't have it anymore, but it was a digit account, I think was the last thing it was called. But like it just saved like $2 or $5 like here and there, right? I didn't even notice that it was like leaving, that I didn't have it. And then I would forget that it existed in a good way. And then all of a sudden I'd go in there and I'd have like $800 in there. I'm like, oh, yay. So I feel like it's kind of like similar to that. As long as you can get into that habit of at least doing like a little bit, it'll kind of just happen without you even like thinking about it. And those smaller amounts you don't notice, as much. So you don't feel, it's kind of like a diet, right? Anytime you're on a diet, you feel like, oh, I'm restricting myself. And as soon as you feel like restricted, like, oh, okay, I can't go have fun, or I have to reinvest less into my business, that's when people kind of get like, about it, But if it doesn't feel like a restriction because it's just a little bit, at least initially, then you see that growth and you see that money that you've gained or set aside, then you're like, oh, okay. And then that kind of becomes like the motivation and like the drug behind it, right?
Yes, exactly. And you totally nailed it. And the other thing that I urge everyone to do, and this is not like the most fun thing ever, but to really understand compound interest is to like play with a compound interest calculator, like go to investor.gov/compound interest and say like, okay, if I just pulled up an example just to talk through, but let's say you found $200 a month to invest, which is like a random Target run and one night out, maybe two, depending on how hard you party. I don't know. or let's say like $200 a month, and you just did that for 30 years. And so you kind of probably didn't even notice this money. You just were auto investing $200 of your income every single month for 30 years. If you got the average return of the stock market, not even the good, not even like an amazing, just the average, you would have put in $72,000 over a 30-year period. But the amount of money you would have because of compound interest is closer to $400,000.
Wow.
So that's a $300,000 passive side hustle.
Right.
It takes a while. Like that's obviously a long time. But if I just opened and I was like, hey, do you guys want a side hustle that gives you $300,000 by the time you retire? You'd be like, yeah, I do. So I do think, sign me up. So I think that that's also in the beginning when you're doing smaller amounts, it's hard to get excited because compound interest it's in the name. It compounds over time. So the first 3 years, like, you're not going to be a millionaire doing this in 3 years. Like, I'm not going to sell you snake oil. That's not how this works. But if you do it consistently and you start to increase that number all the time, like the people that have consistently invested and don't even have crazy good incomes, those people end up being, they call them like millionaires next door because they just did this very simple thing on autopilot.
Right. So you had kind of mentioned about how it's also like there's a tax benefit to it as well. Can you touch more on that?
Sure. So one of the best things about being a business owner that most of us know is that we can write off a lot of stuff, right? That's great.
The write-off people.
Yeah, we love that. But what most business owners don't realize is that rich people invest because one, it helps them grow money, but also it helps save on taxes. And so depending on what type of account you choose to invest in, you can experience some pretty big tax savings. So for business owners, a very common account is called a SEP IRA. SEP, it's like a self-employed IRA, individual retirement account. And that's an account that you can go to fidelity.com. I use Fidelity, by the way. I'm not sponsored by them. If you're listening, please give me money, but they're great. Like they're very like, they've got kind of everything. They have good customer service. My students and clients like them. So I like Fidelity. But anyway, you go to Fidelity and you open up a SEP IRA, which is basically like, it feels like you're opening a bank account.
Yeah.
And once you do that, you can contribute up to 25% of the profit from your business every single year. And you can actually deduct that from the income that you owe money on.
Yeah.
So that's pretty huge. Obviously, we all aren't able to contribute 25%, but even a small amount starts to add up in terms of a significant deduction in taxes.
For sure.
So that's one very common account is a SEP IRA. And I think everyone should have one, even if you're not contributing to it every single year or every single month. You can, and also too, like, you don't have to figure this out for yourself. Like if you have an accountant, which if you're a business owner, you probably should.
I was I was like, crap, this sounds familiar. And I'm pretty sure she told me to do this like last year during taxes of how I should, it's on a piece of paper somewhere in one of my ADHD doom piles. I'm sure. And I just never got around to it, but this might be me. So it's called, you missed.
Yes, I missed a lot.
It's a SEP IRA. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
So self-employment, basically, account to start with, and you can invest up to 25% of your profit, and like you don't have the taxes.
Okay.
It's a deduction.
Deduction, yeah. Like the words are not coming.
No, you nailed it. You nailed it. Yeah. So that's one way so that's a win-win, right? Because you're paying less in taxes, you're putting your money in an account that will grow, and you don't have to do it. It can grow for you passively. Like that's such a huge benefit.
It's kind of like, is it equivalent to like, so when I used to work for a corporate job, it's kind of like when they would match. So it's kind of like matching your own because you're not having to pay the taxes on that portion.
It's like a 401k. Pretty similar. You're just creating it for yourself. So that SEP IRA is very common. The other great account that a lot of business owners start with is a Roth IRA. Roth is the name of a senator dude in, I think, 1980.
I always wondered. I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah, Roth is just a guy. But Roth IRA, individual retirement account, is another, there's so many like jargons and acronyms. It's so easy to get overwhelmed. But honestly, when it comes to investing, there's really like a brokerage, which is where you go to do these activities. And then you have to choose an account. So what I'm giving you now are examples of accounts that you can choose, just like savings or checkings. You can choose a SEP IRA or a Roth IRA. Right. And then inside that account, you can invest in these investments that hold hundreds or thousands of stocks at once. So that's kind of like the lay of the land. Yeah. So once you're like, okay, I know how much I want to invest. I'm going to choose Fidelity because Tess likes it. Yeah. Then you open up your account and you can start with something that helps you save on taxes like a SEP. Or Roth IRA is great because you don't get to deduct your contribution from your taxes. But once you put that money in, it grows tax-free. So that example I gave you, like if you put $200 in a month and you ended up for 30 years, you got the average return of the stock market and you ended up with $400,000 in retirement because of compound interest. If you did that in a Roth IRA, that $400,000 would be tax-free. So those are just examples of different accounts that you can open, and you don't have to do them all at once. Just pick one, start with one. Like
start somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like with all this finance stuff, it's so easy to get overwhelmed. Like, should I be doing this or that? Like, you choose a brokerage.
If you're an overthinker, or you think, again, the ADHD, you think you have to do like all or nothing, right? It's like, oh no, I gotta do all of these, and I gotta do them right now, and am I doing the right ones, or and then you kind of just get like analysis paralysis. You kind of just have to like choose somewhere simple for you and just start and then go from there.
Exactly. And the other thing I tell people too is like, we live in the age of technology. There are so many platforms that will just make this easy for you. Like Fidelity, for example, has what's called a robo-advisor. There's a lot of Fidelity is just one version, but a robo-advisor is basically like, let's say you were like, tax-free growth on my money sounds nice. I'm going to open a Roth IRA and I'm going to contribute $100 a month. Yeah. If you did that, but you're like, but choosing investments makes me so anxious that I'm going to like pull all my hair out, then you could go with a robo-advisor, and they're basically going to give you some questions like, when do you want to use this money? What's your risk tolerance? Yada, yada, yada. And then it'll choose some low fee investments for you. And is that like the best solution? Like, it's still really good. It's certainly a million times better than doing nothing. Yeah. And so like that, I tell people all the time, like, if you want to just start, do that. And then you can take your time and you can start to learn if you want to choose your own investments and learn how to do that yourself. Or if you just robo-advisor forever, like that's honestly, you're probably doing better than most people if you're doing that. So there's a lot of like, I think the most important takeaway, if anyone listening is like, this sounds interesting, but I'm still like overwhelmed or concerned or whatever, when you dive in, it's going to feel really overwhelming at first because it's super jargony, and then you're going to do it. It's going to take you way less time than you think. And you're going to go, oh, I wish I did this 10 years ago. And that is the summary of every conversation I have all week long.
Yeah. You're like, heard that a few times. Let me see. I had a couple. Let's see. So this one, what's your take on retirement planning for entrepreneurs who don't have a 401k through a job? So, I mean, basically, you covered that. For the most part, the SEP. Let's see. What's one simple thing that could make tax season less painful for small business owners?
Oh, I would say use a platform like QuickBooks Online, like an accounting software like that. Yeah. I know it might feel overwhelming to set up something like that at first, but step one, credit card and your business bank account has to be separate from your personal stuff.
Yes.
If you have that and you haven't connected it to something like that's just an example, but truly, like, once you set it up, and you know what I did actually years ago that was so helpful is I just hired somebody to teach me for like 2 hours. She helped me like categorize all my stuff, set up my accounts. She gave me like, this is before now I outsource it, but at the time I sat with her for $400, I think, for like 2 hours. It was worth its weight in gold. She helped connect my accounts, helped organize them. And then I just took like half an hour to like organize my transactions. Like that is life-changing. Like every business, even if you're tiny, if you're like, I'm not that sophisticated,
especially if you're tiny though, because then it's almost easier, because then you set up those systems before you get big, and the systems are already there, and then now you're just gradually like increasing that system rather than starting it when things are, say you go viral, or your business just all of a sudden is booming, and you're like, oh crap, do I have money to buy this new machine? Do I, where are things sitting? You don't want to figure that stuff out then. You want it to already be there, in the beginning. I touched on it a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago when I had my friend on, who again just started. So she's an accountant for her main job, but she has a laser side business, and then decided to offer bookkeeping services for the actual, the maker community, because she saw so many people struggling with tax questions and finance questions and stuff for their business. And a Facebook group is where people would always go to ask. And it's like, that's the worst place to go ask, because one, they could be completely wrong. It may not be true for your state. It may not apply to you, just so many things. But, she started one. And so she has, packages, like, I think as small as like $45. Now, you don't get a lot of like bells and whistles, right? But starting somewhere with that and not having to have all the weight of your accounting on your shoulders, because it is overwhelming. You don't know, like, you buy new machinery. Like, I know that I can write off a portion of that like machinery, but I don't know like the schedule and how you do it and when you do it and all of that stuff. Like I didn't want to become an accountant. Again, it taught me that that's what I didn't want to do. So the first thing I outsourced was accounting, and that was when I was pretty small, and thankfully I had found an accountant that it only charged, I think, like $50 a month, or maybe $55 a month, if I split up like the quarterly payment. And I was like, oh yeah, that was just so worth it to just not have to worry about, is it being done? And I mean, for at least a year, I don't think I knew that I had to remit sales tax quarterly, things like that I just didn't even know I needed to do, and I wasn't doing, and could have been like a huge like penalty to me, had I not taken care of it. So it's just, if those are the things that like I always like push, that like even when you're small, shop around. It may be, and for the longest time I didn't even look for someone because I just assumed I couldn't afford it. Yeah. Instead of looking around, and then the first person I asked, I actually could afford it. And I was like, oh man, damn it, why didn't I do this forever ago?
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. You see I do some business coaching too, as a result of doing financial education. And it's very tangential. And, like, yes, there are some things that maybe don't have the ROI for you that you should be mindful of investing in your business. But I am so with you. Anything around accounting or finances, getting organized, like getting those systems in place early, is life-changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're at the 45-minute mark. Let me try and get my husband back in here, because I don't remember what we say. He says all that stuff. So while we wait for him to come back, I do have one question before we go through like the, how people can find you and like the discounts and stuff that you're offering. So one question I tend to try and remember to ask every episode is, what is one skill, tool, or mindset that has been impactful for you in your business? And that can be like, for me, it's as simple as like a shipping printer or hiring that accountant. What would that be? What would you say is one thing for you that was like that?
For me, it's this thing called the Eisenhower matrix. And basically, it sounds fancier than it is. Basically, what you do is you think of like 4 quadrants, just like 4 different boxes. And things can be either urgent and important. They can be important but not urgent. They can be urgent but not important. Or they could be not urgent and not important. And I kind of filter everything. Now it's habit. I used to actually write this out. Like I used to even organize my tasks by this. But now I just kind of filter it through my head. And as my business has grown, I get, a lot of inquiries and inbound stuff and things are good busy, and that's great. The amount of stuff that is not important and not urgent when I truly run it through that lens is pretty mind-blowing. And I do this a lot. And it's, as a business owner, you do have to be somewhat, I don't want to say selfish with your time, just protect your time really thoughtfully, because as you start to grow, more people are going to want to connect, and sometimes that's great. Sometimes you really need that time back. So I run everything through that lens because it becomes very clear to me what stuff that I can just totally not do, first of all. And then also when you do that, what happens to me a lot of times is I'll end up doing a lot of the urgent stuff because it's urgent, but it's not actually moving the needle. And then when I look at my important box, and that thing in my important box has been in my important box for like 6 months, then I'm like, is it important or is it not? And so that's kind of like the filter of like how I run everything through. And that framework for me is life-changing.
Yeah. That's great. I like that one.
Yeah.
So before I didn't know how to go to the Patreon portion. So that's why I said, come back. But I want to, wealthwithtess.com/founders. That is your free mini course on investing for business owners. I wish I would have taken that before this.
I just watched the intro video to that.
Did you?
Yeah. I signed up for it, so I'm waiting for the email.
Nice. Don't push all the buttons, honey. But let's see. So they can find you there. They can follow you on Instagram, Wealth with Tess. And then the promo code for listeners. So it's 50% off a one-on-one call, or 50% off a Money Confident program, and that's code TRBP50. Is that off of your website, right?
Yep, exactly.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
And of course, patrons get a higher discount, and that's going to be good through the end of November. So definitely start with that free mini course. And if you liked any of this content or the stuff in the course, then you can follow up with some of the other stuff.
Careful.
And then we got to figure out if there's any other juicy bits that you can share for our patrons.
Oh, sure.
What's that?
You got a piece of candy?
No doubt.
Okay.
Yeah, please don't.
Yeah.
Don't joke on that.
So apparently that will do it for.
Right.
I will definitely have to watch this one back.
Yeah.
I missed out on the conversation. And I'm sure I'll have questions as I watch it back.
Yes.
But that'll do it for the Gen Pop portion. You're definitely going to want to stick around for the Patreon. So it's a great time to join Patreon if you're not a patron already. And the life update's up next. And we're back with the life update.
Finally, he shows up. But
No. Hey, I was here to toss this part.
Thank you. I appreciate
And then I
that,
left
because I was
again.
like, I had the stuff
Then I
in
left
between, but the things I didn't have it.
Yeah,
I didn't know what to do.
So we woke up at 5 this morning.
Yeah, I went to bed after 3 this morning.
Well, no. You fell asleep.
Fell asleep
After
after 3.
we
We went to bed at like 1.
At 1, yeah.
Yeah, and I could not fall asleep. I tried all my normal tricks, and they were not working. And then it's like
There it is.
as soon as I fell
What you should have
asleep-
done was come in here and started recording,
right?
and then you would have gone to sleep.
I thought about all those things. I was like, part of me was like, I should just get up and start working. Like, cause it was not happening. I did the yoga thing when you start at like the top of your head and you like make sure to like, cause sometimes you won't notice that like you're clenching your jaw or like, relax everything. And like that would always like almost put me to sleep in yoga class. And so I was like, I'd try that. And then No. So then I tried scrolling. Nope. And I tried playing my game. Nope. And I was like, I at this point I'm running out of time.
Yeah. So we put the boys over the weekend. We put the boys in the same room.
Yeah.
And it went well-ish. Like it went pretty well. Both of them still wanted to sleep in the same room.
Yeah.
So we're
and
like,
still
okay.
has, but he's waking up even earlier than the early he was waking up.
Well,
and
he's been sick.
Doesn't help.
So I think that hasn't helped.
Yeah.
But yeah, he woke up and then they both come in the bed in the room at 5
Ready
in the
to
morning, like it's 6. Like, you know, because normally they come in, we watch a little bit of TV and then get ready for school.
Right.
They come in at 5, like, all right, let's watch TV. Like, no, it's too early for that.
Yeah.
It's too early for that. And then Jackson, our youngest, stays home because he's sick, so he's got no school, which is why I've been ping-ponging back and forth.
Right. Well, we could not reschedule this one. Yeah,
right,
I got a babysitter, and then she texted me that she was sick this morning.
Apparently it's going
around.
And
we've already, we had another, we had another show for our other side of the podcast business. Yeah, at 10 a.m.
Follow local
but
links.
he had to reschedule. Yep. He had to cancel because he was sick.
Yeah.
And that, thankfully for us, not that he was sick, but that we didn't have to cancel on him.
Right. He canceled and we didn't have to.
Right. And then this we had already rescheduled, with Tess. So I didn't want to do that again. And our week is already pretty booked and busy.
Yeah.
And so we didn't really have anywhere to put it. And I didn't want, you said maybe tonight, but I'm like, she probably doesn't want to work that late because it's work for her, work for us. And I had an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours of sleep. If you count the 30 minutes, I think I fell asleep on the couch. I don't want to record at 9:00 tonight because then I'm definitely going to be yawning through the whole thing. So anyway, we pushed through. We made it happen. It meant that it
looked a little different.
But most of the time, I'm usually the one yapping. Anyway, he chimes in every once in a while. But it was definitely a good episode. Hopefully that was good for you guys and beneficial to you if you're not already investing, if you're overwhelmed by all of those things like I am. I selfishly, I kind of wanted her on so that I could learn some stuff because we haven't really been doing much of that like we should be. Instead it's just a ADHD thing that you put back here. Like, it's important, but I can't deal with that right now.
Yeah.
So
that little bit that, that I was, that was part of the conversation with the S&P 500 and investing in it as a whole, because I was of the mindset that if you did it yourself, you kind of had to know like when to invest in what stock, this and that, where this really is, you put in a dollar amount into whatever you use, like Robinhood,
get like a tiny little portion.
or whatever. I guess it's a brokerage.
A piece of a share.
Right.
You don't own a full share of
because
something
one share of something would be like $500.
Right. Exactly.
You own a fraction of it, but within that, it's across all, like across 5 or however many.
Yeah.
So you own the pieces, and then if one stock drops, the other one kind of makes up for it, and that way.
And it's another thing that
you diversify your portfolio.
Look at you. It's another thing that us small business owners have to be doing and thinking about because we don't have that traditional 401k.
Right.
And I feel like it's a lot of, when you work for a corporate job, they kind of do that stuff for you, right? When you set up all your new stuff, you either decide to contribute to your 401k and how much, and it's just like done for you, taken out of your check right away. The harder part with being a small business is you have to take that initiative.
Right.
You have to set that up.
Right.
You have to decide to consciously have that plan to do it and then follow through with it.
It's
not
always
them just taking it out of your check every 2 weeks or weekly or whatever.
And also as you start, it's like, okay, well, you always set benchmarks, and that benchmark always moves, right? So it's like, as soon as I get caught up, as soon as I pay off this machine, and then something happens, either you buy a new machine or you get a space or something, and then you're like, okay, well, as soon as I like level out, I'll go ahead and do that. But then something always happens and it falls to the wayside. So it is definitely, it does, again, I wasn't here for the conversation, but I was spiraling as I normally do on the couch on YouTube, just looking up like the S&P 500. And just it does seem like it's not like necessarily a full one-time thing,
Right.
but it is kind of a set it and forget it type deal where you can set up. Depending on who you use or whatever, you can set up like a monthly, kind of like they do in your check.
You were here when she said it. She said that the investment accounts that actually do better are the people who've like passed and don't touch it because they're not here anymore. And it just because people they leave it alone.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So the ones that kind of may not necessarily do the best are the ones who are like, oh, it went down, let me adjust something. Oh, it went up,
right,
let me adjust
you're not
something.
Playing the long game.
Right, exactly, because you kind of mess them with it too soon. And so the ones that do, because I was telling her, like, I have a Fidelity account, but I like don't really go check on it like that much or as much as I should. And she was like, well, sometimes it's actually better because then you leave it alone.
Right.
You don't mess with it.
Yeah. So definitely want to look into moving that because I mean honestly even me leaving corporate to go on my own thing, I had a 401k. Well, not had, I have.
Right.
But I say had because I haven't looked at it.
Right.
I know there's money in there.
Right.
Maybe we've pulled some and paid a little penalty.
Yeah.
But as far as like managing or doing anything with it, it's kind of like I don't want to know it's there.
Right.
So I don't get tempted to pull from.
Right. So no touchy.
But I could do that while investing it instead of it just sitting there.
Right.
I'm sure it's not if it's gaining anything, it's probably taken out in fees.
Right.
So whatever I get for the year, it probably gets taken out as well in fees. So
and it's just that little bit of knowledge. I used the example of having that little bit of knowledge helped us with your grandmother's home and stuff like that. It helps you make the best decision with
honestly,
what you know.
it gives us an idea of what to do with my mom's money as
Yes,
well for her
sure.
for her to grow something with what she's got too.
Yep, I agree.
So it's been an informative show.
Yeah. So as far as life, so this week we are going to Printing United in Orlando for like a day and a half. We're going up Thursday, leaving midday Friday. Just want to look at all the new fancy fun things, get some content, hang out with our friends. A lot of our friends are going. Kim and Garrett, PDS,
Stephanie.
LogoJet, Stephanie, GS2 Awards, Melody with CMB, Katie with Monarch Pine, all the
heavy
homies. Hitters. So we're just going to say hey and see what we can see, what shiny things we can get distracted by while we're there. And that's pretty much about it for this week. More laser wholesale jobs.
Yeah, we've actually been using our 5.
I've been organizing like crazy several days in a row. I'm going to hopefully do a little bit more today so I can just keep it going.
It's almost like she's nesting, but we know she's
absolutely not.
But it's very nesting energy.
No. Yeah. And
but
it is because I'm just, it's like when you hit that point where you just like sick of walking into that same box or sick of not being able to find something and needing more systems and
I think a good push was starting to actually do things. Now this stuff is really in the way. Yeah. So you have to get it out of your way so we can do things.
Yeah, because it was I was trying to set up a 12 cup tumbler order and I had nowhere to freaking put the 12 cups. I'm like this is not gonna work. So
we got a bunch of stuff from Lone Star.
Yep. And Great Lakes. And JDS.
Yeah.
So we're gonna you're gonna be sick of me. I'm gonna be posting a bunch of random projects because I don't really make the things much anymore. So I'm gonna make the things and it'll give me some content. It'll
and some freebies to give away.
Yes.
I'm sure.
So a lot of the things I'm going to be doing that I'm going to be testing out, of course, I'm going to test out with the TRBP logo because then I can test it out, but then I can also give it away. Yeah. So
you guys
feel free to look out some. I'm glitching, guys.
And remember,
look for some giveaways.
If you're a patron, you automatically get put into.
You're
giveaways.
Automatically entered.
So you don't have to like a million things.
And then if there's like a way to enter, if you decide to enter it that way, that's just double. Yeah.
So join Patreon.
Jinx.
Yeah. And with that, it's another great episode of the Riley Bear Project. Crystal and John.
Bye.
More Crystal.
A little bit, John.
Maybe we're all done. The Funny Black Project. Bye.
Say bye.
Bye.
Wait, hold on. Hold on. Nino, I'm recording.